Ricky Sharif, Steve Tyra, Ben Heaton and Wayne Retty, Scott Morrell and Paul Hanforth, Tony Tonks, Craig Ashall, Ben Davis, Dane Manning, Ross DeVortier and Luke Adamson. We're underway. It's a difficult kick-off as well, but dealt with well enough in that in-goal area. And on the bench tonight for Halifax, just to complete their lineup, Luke Ambler, Andy Braycheck, Adam Robinson and Keith Holden. Dave Merrick is our referee, and as ever, should we require a second opinion, we have a video ref, but Ian Smith is sitting in his budgie smugglers by a swimming pool in Perpignan tonight. So Chris Leatherbarrow is the man who's taken over his duties, and we're very pleased to have him along. Henderson in possession here from dummy half. Yeah, he looked a little slow to his feet, didn't he? Sheffield looked to gain a little ground in these early stages. Henderson again, it's a little slow just at the moment, and eventually Walker will kick to this near side. A hand outstretched by Wayne Retty, safely collected and run back at that Sheffield line. So Dave Woods, early thoughts?
Oh, just a very tentative set to start with from the Sheffield side. Played to this left-hand side with Knowles and Menzieri, and just a soft kick really put in behind. Reddy took that chance. Very slippery conditions, and just one-handed pick up, but did well. So, you know, both sides will be just playing with each other just to get some bit of field position early on and just try and get some ascendancy right from the start.
I was going to say, conditions. This is the time of the year when you have to know how to play in this weather, isn't it? The wet weather, because we always seem to have it. Here's a kick downfield, which Vinnie Finnegan deals with carefully. Again, you can see a kind of lack of absolute surety about handwork and footwork, because it's a very greasy ball. They're struggling to make distance here. It's good defence from Halifax's point of view. So Sheffield are looking to rev things up a little if they can, and here's a man who can do that. But Yere's dropped the ball, it's gone out of play. Now the touch judge on this near side will have his say. Dave Merrick spots it and gives head and feet to Halifax.
Yeah, I think it was Hanforth there, and I'm not sure whether he actually ripped the ball, but I think it's a tactic that you may see the Sheffield team do, just trying to get a big man on a small man, but on that occasion, great defence from Hanforth and a real good field position for Halifax.
Well, it has been a fantastic start from Halifax's point of view here, with a set of 6 to come, only 10 metres away from that Sheffield line. It's Ashall who feeds it, but Dave Merrick's not happy. Wants to see those two packs come together again. So here comes Ashall again, spun away to this left-hand side. Morrell tries to run back in there, looking for a gap, sets them up. Position set, 10 metres away. Ashall again, spins it to that left-hand side. An urge and a surge from DeVortier, I think that is, who's going to be put down, quick up and plays it. Little ball back towards the oncoming man of Davis. Ben Davis, right on that line. Sheffield's defence being asked an awful lot of questions very early here. Hanforth hands it back on the inside again, as Halifax look to take up position, this time from Adamson. Here's Ashall, little grubber to the in-goal area, it pings against Sheffield legs, and eventually it's going to be picked up by Michael Knowles. They weren't sure who was going to take it, but it is Sheffield safely back in their hands.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest of finishes there from the Halifax team. I'm sure they would like that ball to be dribbled into that in-goal. You just see it now, he just jumps out and foot in the way, and then they can compound that with a penalty. Brambani, a very good kick to take him up to close to halfway.
Well, you'll hear the sigh of relief, I'm sure, from Sheffield, because they were in a very sticky position, but now find themselves with possession inside their opponent's half. Shostak will take it forward. Alex Shostak, who's one of those that Steve McCormack will be keeping a beady eye on tonight.
Yeah,
he's one of yours.
Henderson, Stringer, Shostak.
Truth of it is, he'll be keeping a beady eye on all of them, but especially those three. And here is a heartbreak from Michael Knowles. He's lost possession, has he? Yes, he has. Knock on. Well, we say it week in, week out. He is one of their most influential players, isn't he, Michael Knowles? But cheap possession given away.
Yeah, it was, and early tackles too. They started that tap very quickly and went forward, and Knowles hit a really good hole. But, you know, look, that ball is slippery. He was looking to try and get an offload, and he had some numbers on his outside, but didn't come off and spilt the ball. So, you know, they just need to be a little bit patient with the footy and just be a little bit more clinical. But they certainly showed their hand early by keeping to come out to this left-hand side.
Mark Aston taking up his usual position on the far side, looking on. I wonder where the future's going to take this Sheffield Eagles club. If the plans come to fruition that they have, it's a very exciting future. At the moment, they've got their eyes on the immediate present as Tonks drives it in for Halifax. Still short of that halfway line. Trying to find a position here, this time in the shape of Ben Davis. Natalie was saying earlier, he's 5 different clubs this season, Ben Davis. This is his 5th. Left to Morel, who tries to make things happen. 5 tackles gone. Here's Ashall again, a dummy half to that left-hand side, and a little punchy kick from Morel towards that sideline. Out of play it goes, and head and feed for Sheffield.
Yeah, I think they'll be quite happy with that, Halifax. I think you know, they're playing a territory game, a lot of inside balls. I think the weather, you know, may dictate that. They're looking at some of the Sheffield defensive line, you know, trying to attack the inside shoulders, and maybe the footwork may not be there. But it started well. Morel's obviously very dominant with the kicking game, and I think Sheffield will look to put a lot more pressure on him within the game.
He had a hand injury, didn't he, early in the season? Put him out for a few weeks, and that was really costly for Halifax.
Yeah, he did that hand injury against us when we played him at the Shea there, and he's been out for a little bit, but he, you know, very influential. He gets the ball early with him and Hanforth, and another penalty from the Halifax side given to Sheffield. So they can't afford to do that because they're getting some good field position, and then they're letting the pressure off. So it's just lucky that early doors Sheffield have come up with a couple of errors as well.
Well, here's an opportunity, and here comes an early push forward from Mitch Stringer, back to full fitness again. Henderson at dummy half. We say back to full fitness. I'm sure there's an awful lot of players on there carrying knocks at the end of a very hard and tough season, but hiding the matter as well as they can. Stringer to Knowles, across it goes to Shostak, who's met well by those Halifax defenders, but it's a good position still. Here's Walker again, trying to promote it. It's a forward pass. Just a little bit of mistiming, and the opportunity goes away.
Well, it was a very early call too from Dave Merrick, whether he got a call from the touchline, but a very early call, and again, they've just both sides guilty of coming up with some errors early, Steve.
Definitely, and a little bit of safety first, even in the good ball area. But just watching on the last couple of occasions when the Sheffield sides had the ball, QLT's just been going out the back of both second rowers, and you know, they've tried to hit the lead with Knowles, and obviously that last play, and you know, I think they were looking to probably hit QLT out the back, and there's a lot of space there.
As I said, he is in form. 3 tries in his last 3 games, 33 for the season for Quentin Lolatogage, but he's not quite top scorer here. Menzi Yere with 42 tries this season in all competitions. It's quite a return, isn't it? And he's writing himself into Sheffield legend this season. Menzi Yere, as we mentioned earlier, 114 tries in total for Sheffield. That is equal the record total, which at the moment is held by Darryl Powell, who also got 114 tries, but 1 more, and Yere is out there by himself. Here's Quentin Lolatogage, who takes it safely enough. Turner coming across. Halifax defence in decent array as they meet him. Pat Walker's the man at dummy half. There's the catch. Good catch as well, and a greasy ball night, but he's done well enough. Here's QLT. Henderson up at dummy half. It's Michael Knowles to his right. Here he comes, shuffling forward. Trying to force that Halifax line back if he can. Henderson again, here's Yere, and again it's big man, little man, but little man's doing all right at the moment, isn't he, Hanforth? He got a hold and kept a hold, but here comes Knowles, and then hands it off to Vinnie Finnegan, and Finnegan's very close to that touchline, and is dragged out of play. So Halifax's head and feed. We're very close to the dugout here, so if you pick up a bit of fruity language, we do apologise if it causes any offence. No fruity language in your dugout, is there?
I don't know, I think we're pretty high up. They might not hear that, but look, just a risky little play there, just shooting down that short side for a couple of plays, but one well worth trying because they had him on the back foot. Hanforth got up real quick on Yeri and put a good shot on him, but then they got a quick play the ball from the back of it, so worth a little shot early on.
Well, here they have an opportunity to try and make things happen with Ricky Sharif, who's a lively character as always, of course. And just putting a few questions in that Sheffield line. So 2 tackles gone. Halifax up towards that halfway line. Again, looking to make inroads down that left-hand flank. Devorty is going to be put down. Quick to his feet. Back to the middle it comes again. It's a straight drive from Tony Tonks. Spinning as he fell. There's a man up there just in case he could get the ball away, but he couldn't. They've still got a couple of tackles to go here. It's Davis again who drives it in. It's a high tackle and a penalty for Halifax. Yeah,
good play again. I think they've targeted Andrew Henderson a few times around that ruck, and on that occasion it was a good play of the ball from Tonks. And Hendo a little bit slow getting up, and I think it was Ben Davis who was caught one round the head. So real good set from Halifax.
Well, there was a high one. There was a high one, and the penalty has given Halifax this position. As they're trying to move it left, Fieldhouse is left to deal with a difficult bouncing ball. It's picked up out there in the end by Tyre, is that? Who's in fact it's Sharif who's managed to pick it up in the end. So Halifax with still 3 tackles to go here, and finding themselves very close to where they want to be. Just causing problems again for this Sheffield line. Back it's spun once more. Morel helps it on. Little inside ball for Manning, who's kept it alive well. Into the hands of Hanforth. Delivers it to Morel again, who puts the dummy on and tries to put his shoulder through the gap, but Sheffield hanging on. Here comes a final tackle. It's a run out to Hanforth, who chips towards the corner. Retty's up there and catches it well enough. Tries to remote it, might have thrown it away. They're still keeping alive. It's still the 5th tackle. It's still on the last. And eventually, Ashall does get a kick in and manage to turn something a little positive from that.
Well, it was good defence. It was a neat little kick from Hanforth, but it was very good defence from the Sheffield side. They let Reddy go up and take that ball. He threw it back, and the one thing that the Sheffield defenders didn't do was just stand still and watch. They kept pushing through hard and put a lot of pressure on, and did very, very well to keep him out.
And eventually the kick away has led. But he's gone to his right, and Stringer again, the big man. Just trying to rip the arm free. Unable to get it free enough to get that offload away. This is Henderson. Now it's Green. Green pushing forward. 3 very solid drives here by Sheffield. It's taken them 30 metres out. Little dab kick a little early. Finnegan's chasing after this, but the Halifax line have it covered. But it will be head and feet for Halifax, only 10 metres from their own line.
Yeah, and QLT just in a little bit of trouble there with the leg injuries. He got injured in that tackle earlier on after the offload from Stringer, and he's just struggled with it a little bit. He's just getting some treatment again, or the physio was just talking to him again. Then he's limping to the scrum as we speak, just bending his leg up and that. So, you know, he's a very important member of this team, and I'm sure they want to do whatever they can to keep him there.
Sharif up and away from dummy half, running into the welcoming arms of Tom Armstrong. 18 minutes of this first half remaining. Halifax looking to reassert themselves back inside the Sheffield half if they can here. It's solid forward work at the moment to try and take them there if they can. And again, 4 solid drives over the halfway line. Here comes the 6th tackle though, so Morel again will punch that kick forward. QLT showing good footwork in trapping that. Nice first touch from Quentin Lullatagagai.
Not many risks, is a Dave, as far as both teams. You know, we've not seen probably the ball go past first or second receiver, maybe in good ball or in yardage. And, you know, is one team going to take a bit of a chance and have a little bit of a spread play just to widen the opposition defence? But very, very safe play from both sides.
Is that conditions or circumstances?
I think a bit of both, probably. I think, you know, low risk, getting early touches and play the field position. But you know, I think as the half goes on, I think we'll see the you know, the ball spread a little bit more.
Henderson spinning it out to Brambani. Left it comes to Walker. There's Walker over the top, and we have seen it spread out here. Just as Steve McCormack predicted, and the kick from Knowles. It's not a bad kick in the end, is it?
Yeah, very good result from that. You know, that's what they need to do, because the Halifax side are defending very, very tight, and they're pushing up really hard. They're asking the Sheffield side to take that chance and try and go wide on them, you know, with that big looping pass that Walker's thrown a couple of times. So, you know, they're inviting them to do that, and if they're good enough to do it and execute it well enough in these conditions, they're saying let's play, you know. So, you know, they'll keep doing that and inviting Sheffield to play like that. But as Steve said, you know, someone needs to just try something out just a little bit wider on the fringes.
Here's the first carry forward by Ben Heaton. Here comes Ricky Sharif. So 2 gone, and they're up towards the 20-metre mark, so they're making a bit of decent progress just at the moment. Robinson, who's on from the bench, is it? Who's going to get up and play it? And back to Morel, and Hanforth, and Knowles was out there very quickly. Talk about a smothering defensive act. That was it, wasn't it? Halifax, no time to think. Well, that looks as though it might have been a bit of a grapple there. Certainly the Halifax bench reacted that way. Handforth with a kick straight into the arms of QLT. It's not a great sight if you're a defending team, because he's on the fly already on the early kick, but he's not got too far before the tackle is made.
I think that last passage of play just shows how important Michael Knowles is to that Sheffield team as well. He's 2 or 3 tackles, previously did the kick, and a tremendous kick pressure then to enable QLT to get that ball on the full and make 20-30 metres. So the little things are what Sheffield's doing okay at the moment.
Stringer, soft hands, gets it away, but it's going no further. Halifax defence again is up quickly. Here's Henderson at dummy half, short of that 10-metre line inside their own half. Peter Green again. Henderson's got time to have a stop and a look around and see what his options are, and Stringer's the likeliest recipient of the pass. He is. He spins in and again looking to get that on free, but it's wrapped up well enough by the Halifax defenders. This is the 6th tackle. They've got to switch it back. And Barney puts the kick downfield. Clever one as well, but Fieldhouse has it covered in the end, and he's not going too far before his tackle.
No, it was a neat little play from Sheffield there, just switching the play back. But I would have thought Dom would have kicked into that far right-hand corner, but elected to come back. Fieldhouse in a good field position to trap the ball, and they're going all right. The Halifax side in defence, a great little offload there that puts them going forward very well.
Terrific hands by Ashall, and Morrell taking it on. And I think there might have been a clash of heads here, which is why the referee has stopped the game for the moment. Joe Hurst seems to have come the worst off. I think it was just an accidental clash of heads. That was my first impression. Let's have a look at this. Oh, maybe not so much a clash of heads as an elbow in the throat from Scott Morrell. I'm not sure it was intended, though, was it?
No, I don't think so. I think it was great play from the Halifax side there. It's been put on report by the referee, but I think we've seen worse. I think his elbow has hit him, but I'm not sure whether there's any malice in that.
Former Halifax player back in the day, wasn't he, Joe Hurst? Spent at Wakefield and Featherstone as well. So here comes the 6th tackle, the final tackle. Ashall kicked away by Morrell. Quentin Lolatagaga's underneath this, and just a little leap to make sure he caught it with a thundering hooves coming towards him. And Sheffield again are trapped only 5 metres from their own line and need a blasting effort or two here to get themselves downfield. And Halifax again in the mood to smother them where they are if they can, to make sure the kick, when it comes, is as tough as possible. It's the arm wrestle we're watching at the moment, and neither side has an advantage. Going backwards and forth. Here's Knowles to his feet. It's Henderson. Here's Higgins, who is another of those who's relatively fresh from the bench. That's the 5th. Here comes the final passage of play in this set. Spun away to Barney. Armstrong has to bend and collect that, and he's lost a bit of momentum and he's thrown the ball away. It's going to be picked up by Adamson, and Halifax have been given a real treat here. What an advantage there, with the pressure their defence provided has given them that advantage as well. Here's Robinson. Well, it's just a desperate effort to get rid of the ball in the end, wasn't it?
Well, there was tremendous kick pressure from Adamson, and one other, I don't know who the other one was, and it was a neat little play from the Sheffield side, but it needed to be passed out wide. Tyra needed a quick hands, and they had the numbers there, but great work from the Halifax team.
There's Braycheck, who's driven it in 8 metres away. It's Ashall at dummy half, spinning it back now. Little step off the foot by Handforth, and another, then rolls it back. Halifax keeping it alive just at the moment. Here's Fieldhouse again. Sheffield closing in. Fieldhouse can't see a way that way, so goes back down the middle and almost finds a gap that closes quickly between Green and Henderson. Here comes a 6th tackle. Morrell kicks to that corner. Up they go. The arms are flung in the air. I think there might have been a touch forward from Sharif. Either way, it's a handover, and Sheffield get it back again.
Good spell from Halifax as well. Morrell's obviously dictating all the play around that area. I think the subs have made a real big impact. Braycheck coming on, Ambler coming on for that Halifax side, and they've had a couple of kicks. They put a little bit of pressure on QLT with a good kick chase on that occasion as well. It's good crossfield kick. Well, the Sheffield knock on, and they're back on.
Shostak losing possession under the pressure of the tackle there from Braycheck. So this could be a telling set of 6 tackles here, Dave Woods.
Well, it certainly could, you know, but like Steve said, full credit to the Halifax team. They've worked hard in defence, put the pressure on, and they've made the Sheffield team come up with those errors. And then defensively, they've been very strong. They're getting down low and getting their shoulders in underneath the ball, and with the slippery ball, it's just popping straight out in the contact. So again, though, they need to come up with some points this time.
Tyro with the initial thrust, picked up and on it goes again. A big drive back. Is that Ambler who's on there in the middle, who's going to be held up? Only 5 yards away. Switched left again. Morel with a short pass. Devorty's going to be put down. A couple of strides away from where he wants to be. Back they come again. Through that rock area it's driven. Sheffield hanging on for dear life at the moment. On their own line. Adamson. Just a little look at the referee to say, did I get that down? The referee says play on. So back it comes. Morel throws it out to Hanforth. Hanforth pops it back on the inside to Robinson. And Robinson driving it forward again. And Sheffield working really hard in defence here, and they have to do. There's 5. Here comes the 6th. Ashall spun away. Little step by Morel. Plays it into no man's land. Quentin Lilletagaga went for it. Oh, and I think he's just about escaped there. Or Ambler's claiming he might have got a try. Well, the referee is putting the square in the air. So let's hear again from our video referee, Chris Leatherbarrow.
Right, so we're checking for onside, offside. So, pause on his foot. So we've got 1, 2, 3 players offside. Let's see what the kicker does. Need that angle you adjust. Best one. Yep. Yeah, they're offside. They're in front of him. It's no try. No try. Offside. Penalty 10 metres out.
So no try. And it will be a penalty instead. Offside.
Well, this is that rule again, isn't it? Because they were inside the 10. They didn't come into play. The person that went through, I think, was onside. But because those players are on the inside the 10, they're deemed to be offside. So penalty. So good call in the end. But again, you know, some neat work. I'd like to see him keep trying that.
What about that from Adamson, by the way? This is the earlier effort. Now, did he hit the line here? He claims he did. He certainly looks at the referee.
Oh,
Did
looks
he get
like
that
it there,
ball
doesn't
down?
It may be when he called held. You know, if the referee called held earlier than that, but it's certainly got the ball down the line.
Yeah, it took his time to get it down. So yeah, like you say, Steve, maybe Dave Merrick had shouted held, and that's why he didn't even think about going to the video ref, because he knew he had. Anyway, Sheffield in position. Here's Davey, who's on for the bench. So Henderson is off, taking a bit of a spell. Brambani with a chip over the top. It's Armstrong who's chasing after this. It should be covered by Fieldhouse, and is... manages to kick it away for a drop out underneath the sticks.
And that's the first one, isn't it? That's a great kick, that great onside chase, and that's what Sheffield do. They're under all that pressure for most of the half to get up the other end of the field. Fantastic kick from Brambani, outstanding kick chase, and putting real pressure on Fieldhouse. The first repeat set of the game, Sheffield have defended their line really, really well. Now it's going to be interesting to see if Halifax can do that.
So 6 tackles to have a go. Knowles just chipping it up and collecting it here and running it back towards that 40-metre line. And this is where Sheffield will start. 5 from here. Davey. Menziere is eager to get his hands on the ball. Here he comes now. The Papua New Guinean centre who's driven it in. Davey at dummy half again. They are creeping closer and closer. 30 metres out. That's all. This is Green. Hits the line and then puts his head down and tries to force his way through a little further. Davey once more. Oh, it's a little loose. It went backwards. Brambani's picked it up and Walker switches it left here. Knowles taking on the defender, trying to make a bit of space, but before he can do that, he's tackled and covered up well enough. So Walker at dummy half. Inside for Green. Green now tucks it underneath his arm and tries to thread his head through that mattress of Halifax defence. That's tackle 5. Here comes the last. Davey once more. Walker with a chip. Clever little chip as well. Up it goes. Armstrong, I think, have got the touch there. It's gone backwards. And Fieldhouse has picked it up for Halifax. Will run it away. This might be an advantage play here. Well, it is. And he's given a penalty for offside against Sheffield as well.
I'd like to see them, both sides, on that last play, just get that ball along the ground. They're putting it in the air. All right, there is a little bit of pressure on a couple of occasions, but that slippery condition, slippery ball on the ground, very difficult to pick up with some pressure putting through. And Don Bramboni with that last kick, or the kick before that one, when it found some space and the onside chase, that worked a treat for him. Just instead of kicking that ball in the air.
Tell you what, fellas, we've got a lot of talking to do at half-time. We've not many tries to show, have we, in the half-time break? 0-0 it remains. 33 minutes played. Surely someone's going to make a breakthrough before the half-time hooter sounds. Here's Heaton. It's just about unprecedented this year, isn't it, on our coverage, not to have a try in the first half, so surely the waters will break at some point. Braychek has driven it in. This is Keith Holden at dummy half. On by Hanforth. Holden was up there in support. Tackle puts his arm in the air. Here comes the sixth tackle, so Morel will kick towards that left-hand side. Well, it's punched away. It's going to be another set here for Halifax. Again. Here we go. Sharif. So 6 from there, but he's out of play.
That's all right. That's the rule, isn't it? Knocked on, so they get the advantage play.
Yeah.
Not one that I'm a fan of, but
I like it, Dave. That's
do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, obviously not in that case. I just think we haven't seen it used to anybody's advantage really all season. But I'd like to see the Halifax team as well bring Ryan Fieldhouse in a little bit more in this area as well. You know, the Hanforth's organising really well, and obviously Morel. But Fieldhouse is the type of player that can break this Sheffield defence up.
Here comes Fieldhouse running back inside the grain. Shostak gets a hold, wrestles him to the ground. Holden is the man at dummy half again. Little dummy thrown by Ambler, and not only a dummy thrown, he's lost possession as he did that. Terrifically frustrating from his point of view, and Sheffield get the relief and the head and feet.
Both sides have been guilty of these errors, haven't they? Just a simple drop ball. He's thrown a dummy there. Good shoulder contact from Higgins, and just comes up with that drop ball second tackle. It's not what they'd be wanting to do down there when they get 6 more tackles on the Sheffield team.
Interesting to see Keith Holden on the field tonight. Viewers of a certain age will remember him as the son of Keith Holden, and viewers of a certain age, a little older, will remember him as the grandson of Keith Holden. He's the 3rd generation of Keith Holdens, isn't he?
Yeah,
to play.
Some good players. His dad and his granddad weren't they? And as I said, the tradition he's carrying on there. A good lad, St Jude's lad from Wigan, and he's going to be an outstanding player.
Well, his dad, Keith Holden, was coming through at the same time as Mike Ford and Sean Edwards, wasn't he, at Wigan back in the early 80s? And I'm sure he's watching on with pride. Here's a good kick downfield. Wayne Retty has caught it safely enough and runs back at that Sheffield line. And the aforementioned Keith Holden is the man who picks up at dummy half again. Here's Braychek. 35 metres out, Halifax here. How long left to play? 4 and a bit minutes left. So we've not got much time in this first half for somebody to find the lead before the half-time hooter sounds. Holden again opposite on. Driven in and driven hard by Ambler. Who's slow to his feet because he was being held down by a combination.
They might take the 2 here, do you think?
I think Braychek was signalling there, but they're going to go for touch. You'd like to think, if he was a Halifax coach, that you'd come away certainly from here with something.
So 6 tackles to have a go. This is Braychek, 20 metres away from that Sheffield line. Holden once more. Looked a little forward that, but referee's allowed it to go. Here's Ambler. Holden just bends his back once more, offers it to Braychek, then runs it to that left-hand side. Morel offers it on again. The fullback Fieldhouse is in the line. It's going to be right to the corner. There's a foot in touch from Ricky Sharif, just when it looked like a breakthrough had been made.
Well, it looked like they created the numbers there. A real good little play out the back door, and it looked like Sharif was in for all money. I would have liked to have seen him dive from there. Well, it was a good tackle, good cover tackle coming across. Who was it? Turner.
Yep.
Very good work to stop the try there.
So Sheffield with a chance to get this ball downfield. 3 minutes to go in this first half, so still time for what? 3, 4 more sets here, maybe 3 more sets at least. Here's Menziere. whose influence has been nullified by that smothering Halifax defence so far.
Well, they've been great on him, haven't they? They've really worked hard and got up quick on him, not letting him get that head of steam up that he's, you know, a lot of teams let him do, and then he's unstoppable.
There's Higgins with the latest drive forward. This is Green stepping in and being caught high.
He's been great since he's come on. His footwork at the line's been very good, and he's created a lot of problems for the Halifax defenders.
I think he's a bit of an unsung hero for that Sheffield team. Every time he gets it, late footwork near the line. That time he went right behind the markers and the you know, the close defenders, and he generally gets to play the ball every time he carries that ball up. And you know, because of that, Brambani's going to pump it in the middle. In fact, he's going to go for goal.
They're having a kick for goal.
Yeah, no, fair call.
55 metres out. Well, he's got a very big boot on him, Don Brambani. He can kick a ball very well, so he'd be confident that he can put this over with a couple of minutes to go. I'd say he'd be fairly confident he'll kick this.
Well, there's a very famous story from Australian Rugby League commentary in a game when nothing happened, and eventually they kicked a goal from inside their own half, and the commentators all began swearing on air. So make sure you don't start swearing.
We won't do that.
Not in the excitement here, because Rex Mossop. You know Rex Mossop?
The Moose.
Here comes Brambani. 55 metres out. 0-0 the scoreline at the moment. Brambani's got the distance, but he has just put it wide. So it remains a 0-0. And we've a minute of the half left to play. Drop out on the 20.
It's only fair because Menzies was offside. He was in front of the kick anyway, so only fair. But now look, that was a good effort. And it was a good call because, you know, a minute and a half to go. They needed to try and get some points on the board. So they've got another chance now, one set of 6.
Might see a drop goal now. It's gone for 2. We might see a 1 in just before the half-time.
Here comes Green again, looking to set up that position very quickly to his feet to make sure they play the ball again. Walker eventually got there. Higgins drives it in. I think he deserved a quicker support there, Green, didn't he, from the speed of which he played that. Here's Brambani. Out it goes to Quentin Lolita-Gagai. That's Armstrong who's caught in possession. 20 seconds left to play. Couple more drives and then maybe the thought about the drop goal. 1-0, what a scoreline that would be. Let's not get carried away, it's still only 0-0. And they're struggling. Oh, and Sharif's wrestled it back one-on-one, so there's nothing wrong with that. And Ricky Sharif has it back for Halifax. So maybe there's a chance here. Morel will put the kick downfield and ask for the chase with a hooter about to sound. It does sound in the background. And it rolls out of play. It's Sheffield 0, Halifax 0. Forget that first 40 minutes for all the honest endeavour that was provided, because it's going to be decided in the second at 40 minutes here. We're back to look back on that first 40 in just a moment. It's Eagles 0, Halifax 0.
Kingston Press Cider, official partner of the England Rugby League team. For real cider lovers. Kingston Press Championships Rugby League playoffs and finals, live on Premier Sports. 4020 magazine is your next generation Rugby League monthly, packed with high quality articles by the best known names in the game. Taking Rugby League seriously, but not too seriously, 4020 magazine aims high and doesn't miss, and is in stores on the 13th day of every month. You can subscribe by either calling this number or visiting scratchingshedpublishing.com. 4020, the alternative voice of Rugby League. iPhone and iPad edition also available. Get kitted out in the very latest NRL Rugby League gear with downunderleisure.co.uk. We've got a huge range of players' jerseys, training tops and vests, retro jerseys, t-shirts and polo.